Hello, and welcome to another episode of Break the Cycle with me, your host, Joshua Smith. I hope everyone's having a wonderful Thursday. It's Thursday.
It is. You know the day of the week today. I'm very proud of you.
I finally remembered what day it is. It is Thursday. But that's only because this is my weekend of work. So that means that I get up tomorrow and go to work for 3 days all through the weekend. And we're having a fall Halloween fundraiser for one of our daughters tomorrow when I get home from work. So everyone's in the house really excited about that. We've been working down in the basement on it. We got a disco light. I've set up a projector and sound system, and everybody's going to be stoked. But it is a little fundraiser to help raise some money for our daughter who got, our stepdaughter who got accepted to the competition dance team. So, fuck yeah, dude. She's doing great. You know
nice.
What I mean? Yeah, absolutely. But thank you guys. We got a great show for you tonight. Before we get too far into it, of course, let's start off with some sponsors. We got TopLobster.com, the man, the myth, the legend, my good friend and partner on Break the Cycle. Let me make sure. I'm not muted, am I? It'd be hella funny if I was muted. My good friend and partner on Break the Cycle, where you can get this great fuck around and find out Lady Liberty /gun hoodie that you see me wearing tonight. I do love this thing. You can get that for a 10% discount by using BTC at checkout for that great discount, or you can join all the Patreon, Subscribestar, YouTube channel for the show, and get into a private Discord server where Top will drop his new gear up to 2 weeks before it goes to the general public at a 30% discount. So if you're $5 or $10 a month, you're really saving money if you're buying Top Lobster gear, and you're supporting both artists. So that's dope. If you could consider me an artist, I guess you independent media journalist. But I don't like the word journalist.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
I mean, artist, autist, like
Artist,
not
autist,
too far,
yeah,
not too
close.
far off.
It's a very close thing.
Independent artist.
I'm an independent autist, absolutely. And of course, executive producers of the show, anthemplanning.com for all your emergency and crisis planning needs. Check them out today, see what they can do for your business, home, or personal life. They're doing a wonderful job that everyone sucks at, or that the government sucks at. Much cheaper,
that
much more
everyone
efficient.
sucks
I was
at?
laughing because Joe the OP said in the chat, he said, "Hi, good night, everyone." Like, did you see the
Like Fetterman?
Yeah, did you see the Fetterman debate? Oh, we'll talk about that.
I've seen clips of it, and I would not be able to make it through. I would need to be like
It was
just
rough, dude.
wasted.
He said, "Hi, good night, everybody." That was his opening. I was dying, dude. I was dying. Anthem Planning helps organizations solve unsolvable problems in the technology and HR arenas. Their team leads by example. Anthem consultants have led their own organization through demanding periods of change. Now they help clients succeed in the face of technology and personnel challenges. They're also just amazing people. I talk about Amy Lepore on the show every time I log in, dude. She's amazing, and you should go check her out and see if you can help. She can help out your business, because I promise you she will.
And I love how you emphasize personnel every time.
She's amazing. Oh, yeah, I have to, because I was
Yes.
saying personal challenges, which I'm used to, personal challenges. You know what I mean? That's what I need help. Amy, if you can help me with personal challenges, I would appreciate that very much. I have
He'll throw like $1 your way or something.
And of course, executive producer of the show, Colwell Creative Content, Craig, and his wife are wonderful people as well. They specialize in things like SEO to help your site rank well on Google or other search engines, website design, optimized website content writing, optimized blog posts, copywriting, social media content management, newsletter writing and design, ghostwriting and editing services, resume and cover letter writing. They work with all kinds of clients, including real estate, addiction treatment, mental health, healthcare, banking and payment processing, but not
The Federal Reserve
or the CIA podcast. They've worked with just about every industry, including libertarian political candidates and influencers such as Larry Sharp. If they're good enough for Larry Sharp, my good friend and mentor in politics, Mr. Larry Sharp, they're good enough for you. Been in business since 2012 and worked with hundreds of clients. So go and check them out. Yeah, I know it's the sporadic echoing when I get really loud. I can't help it, man. I'm working on. I keep working on. I keep on working on the filters, but.
Yeah, and we keep telling him to use his inside voice.
I need a professional. I do fine when I'm just looking at.
He says something about like social contract theory being bullshit, and then we can't do anything about it.
And Ryan is drinking almost 40 tonight. He's real close.
What?
This
is a regular size Corona.
He's just got really little hands.
Yeah,
It's a 12-ounce
and
Corona.
guess what?
What are you talking about?
New executive producers of the show. The Blood of Tyrants Merlot. And that just came through today. I'm super stoked about a new partnership with this wonderful wine company. And you can get their bottles of wine at bloodoftyrants.wine for a 10% discount by using the code BREAK at checkout. I've had this wine before. It's really, really good wine. I got it at the National Convention. It's good stuff, so go check it out. They have some really great slogans, including the official spirit of 1776. Let's see, anarchy in a bottle. Tyrants are losing their head over this wine. It really is good. It really is good Merlot. If you like a nice crisp Merlot,
Does it refresh your thirst just like a Liberty Tree?
it does. Occasionally, you have to refresh your thirst, and that's the way to do it.
That should be their slogan.
So go check out the Blood of Tyrants Merlot at bloodoftyrants.wine. Use break at checkout for a 10% discount. I promise you it's great. Got a great show for you tonight. Before we get too far into this or introducing our guest, let's check in with my wonderful, beautifully haired co-host, Mr. Ryan Kurt. Sir, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty darn good. Just got me a regular size Corona and
A regular size. That's like a 40, buddy. Yeah, absolutely. And of course, joining us as usual now, which I'm very excited about, our good friend from the Redacted Caucus, Mr. AJ Fisher. Sir, how are you doing tonight?
Good evening.
Good evening, everybody.
I'm glad to be here.
Hello. Good night, everyone.
Yeah.
Getting
Before
over some
I
upper
forget,
respiratory stuff.
I'm gonna need some yep cocks in the chat.
Oh, yeah. Ryan wants some yep cocks. He loves yep cocks.
Give the man some yup.
He doesn't realize that we're not on Twitter or on Twitch. But just
man can dream.
Give the man some fucking yep cocks in the chat. And of course, our wonderful guest tonight, one of my favoriteest people in the entire world. The man wiggle wrapped his entire podcast intro. He is the host of the badass, always badass Liberty Lockdown, Mr. Clint Russell. Sir, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good, man. I'm just here to both confirm and deny my belief about fracking. So,
dude, the Fetterman debate. I wish I would have loaded in a bunch of clips of the Fetterman debate because that shit was hilarious, dude.
He's the greatest living American politician. Yes. I don't think I could overstate how much I endorse his candidacy.
Agree.
I didn't think anybody could be less of their mental faculty than Joe Biden, and then Fetterman stepped on stage.
He smashed it.
Holy shit, dude. He is so bad.
If he wins,
you know how they
I
talk
think
about
it confirms South Park is a documentary.
Yeah. Sorry, Ryan's talking. We have this issue where the digital guest cannot understand Ryan. So we're gonna be messing with that all night. What was up, Clint? What'd you say?
Oh, I was just saying, you know how there's a glass ceiling, right?
Yes.
Well, Fetterman just broke through the glass floor.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of him, man. Like, you know, people with severe brain damage and communist leanings. Like, I want them to be on Capitol Hill debating World War III. I think it's really healthy, and I think that it only leads to good things.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and it was funny because they were asking people after the debate, like, so, when you came in here, you said you were a supporter of Fetterman's. Where are you at now? And like all of them were like, well, I think we're going to be voting for Dr. Oz. and if you can get people to vote for Dr. Oz, that's when you got a bad fucked up candidate, dude.
There was.
Well, that's what kills me is like I don't want Dr. Oz. I think he's awful. So if you're going to have a senator that I don't want anyways, I would greatly prefer a guy who's up there for the next 6 years, assuming he lives that long, just arguing terribly on behalf of socialism.
Right.
He's perfect.
I saw there were Google Trends of right after the debate of how do I change my early vote?
Yep.
How do I take back my early vote? How do I cancel my early vote? And it was just
back
thousands.
Their paper ballot, their mail-in ballots.
Yeah.
It's cute that they think their votes matter anyways.
Yeah, like it fucking matters. And they're in Pennsylvania, right? I mean, it's going to be a socialist shithole no matter what they do. So might as well have the worst socialists up there screaming about it. Yeah, I agree, man. So Clint, what's going on, man? You just you've been doing some big things lately. You just had Tom Woods on the show. You judged Knapp.
Yeah, on the regular, man.
Yeah, and then of course you got to speak with Alex Jones several times. What's going on, man? How are you pulling this off? Are you a federal agent?
Yeah, well, obviously, but when I'm not at my day job in Langley, I am in sunny Miami, just lucking my way to the top of the smallest internet podcasting niche. I was
telling somebody on the show the other day. I was like, yeah, dude, like 2 years ago when I was running for chairman of the LNC, Clint hit me up to come on his show, and I definitely had the bigger platform then at that time. And I don't even know. I don't even think you had. Maybe you did have your picture up finally, but I know for the longest time you just had a fat woman with cheese on her titties as your default.
No, it was an American flag bikini. Please,
was it American flag bikini? I thought it was
Yeah.
the cheese tits one. Maybe I'm just misremembering it on purpose.
That's
'cause
someone
it's
else.
way sexier with cheese. But I think at that time I was like, yeah, this Clint dude's cool. He was like asking me about political violence and shit. Do you think it's going to come to violence in this country and all this stuff? And I was like, fuck yeah, it is, dude. There's no doubt about it. It's coming. I think everybody needs to be ready for it. And now Clint's got like one of the biggest shows in the movement. So I love that, dude. I'm very
well. I was
stoked
asking you
for
about political violence because that's when I was still working for the FBI. But
right.
now that the podcast has taken off, I don't have to report on you guys anymore, which is a huge relief. I mean, tomorrow morning I have on the Surgeon General of Florida, Dr. Joseph Ladapo.
No fucking way.
I'm
dude's
on
beast.
with Majid Nawaz at the end of this month. At the end of November, I'm on his show to talk ESG and central bank digital currencies and everything else. So yeah, life is very, 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 very different from how it was 2 years ago for me, and I couldn't be more grateful, man.
Sure.
Every day I'm living my dream, so it's beautiful.
Well, you also expatted out of the socialist hellscape of California, which you and I both share that in common. You went to a much warmer climate than I did.
Yeah, well, that was a mistake. That was your choice. I didn't do that to you.
It's a lot cheaper here, though.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Dude, Miami is brutally expensive. So
Absolutely. Player FTW, thanks for being a member for 15 months. He used his 15-month special chat to just drop meep in the chat.
I respect it.
I respect it. I do. I think that if you're gonna use it, make it count. You know what I mean? But I do love you guys. Thank you all for supporting the show, man. It really means a ton to us. Libertarian Podcast Review, $10 super chat. Thank you, sir. He said it's cute that Clint thinks his podcast is niche. Niche. Did I fuck that up?
I think it's niche.
Yeah, it's niche. Some people say niche, and those people are dumb.
Oh, okay.
No,
So-
it's niche. And I don't know what Tyler means by that. I think he's being complimentary, but I can't tell, so I'm just going to tell him to fuck off anyway.
Yeah, I think he's trying to give you a compliment.
He's
I
saying
think
that
so,
your
too.
podcast is very big.
Yeah, it is a big podcast, and I get it because like when I started my podcast, I was like, I'm gonna make the fucking most base, dopest libertarian podcast, and then I was like, I got like 100 episodes in, and I'm like, yo, dude, if I just keep doing libertarian podcasts, I'm never gonna grow this fucking thing at all. It's just not gonna happen. So that's why I started like trying to get other people on that weren't libertarians and trying to break out of that, get comedians and all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it started
I think
growing
it's
after that. So
It's super important to just continue with whatever motivates you. I mean, the whole reason I'm doing this is because this was my passion that I was pursuing anyways. If I pigeonholed myself into just interviewing libertarian candidates or something stupid like that, I'd lose all of my passion and my audience would go with it. So,
Right.
I make no apologies for just continuing to broaden and honestly, like, I'm trying to bring more people into my worldview. So why would I want to talk to people that already agree with me?
Right.
Like I love talking to people that disagree. I wish I could get more people that disagree to come on. Unfortunately, many of them refuse.
Yeah. No, I get it, dude. We decided we were going to start because there's a lot of like there's not a lot of like band tours that come through here. They always go through like Minneapolis or Kansas City, but there's a lot of comedy tours that come through here, through Iowa. So I started hitting up comedians that were coming on tour here, like, because we have the in-studio show now, and we even have like a guest room for like people who want to come and be on the show that can stay here, feed him dinner, all that stuff.
That's
So
awesome.
I started hitting up comedians, and one of the first comedians I hit up was what's his name? He played Champ Bailey in Anchorman. I always fuck up his name.
The guy from The Office.
He was on The Office as
Yeah, he
well.
spilled the
He's
chili.
like bald in the front. Oh,
Yeah.
fuck, I'm fucked up his name. He's funny. He's funny.
I can
shit.
picture his face.
Yeah,
I
you
don't
guys
have
all
to
know
see
what I'm
it.
talking about. He's like, whammy, that guy.
Yeah.
And I hit him up through his agent, and his agent's like, "Oh, great, what show is it? Yeah, we're down." And so I sent her the link to the show, and like told her about like, we had 1 million views in our first year and all this stuff, and she goes, "Yeah, we checked it out. We just don't think it's a right fit for him."
Fair enough.
dude. But I do have some other comedians now talking about doing it when they come on tour. I just really want to get JP Sear in the fucking building. That's what I want to do because he's coming in November, but no one's getting
That'd
back
be
to
great.
me. Yeah. Clint, so explain ESG to me like I'm a retard.
Well, I'm glad
So
to hear
anyway.
that. I'm glad to hear that even though my show has taken off, Josh still refuses to listen. That makes me feel better.
Bro, I got
ESG
100 kids. You think I got time for podcasts, dude?
Yeah, I do.
Yes, you
Josh,
do.
I
You do it twice a week.
ESG is environmental, social, and governance. It's basically a UN created metric by which businesses are now implementing what I consider to be both cultural and economic Marxism. And I know that kind of sounds like an oxymoron because you wouldn't think that Marxists are concerned with economics, but what they realized is that they're able to utilize big businesses' relationship with big government and moreover the central banking apparatus globally to backdoor their ideology and their principles into the makeup of not just corporate America but the global corporate framework. And it's extraordinarily successful, extraordinarily powerful, and it has been going on for approximately 15 years and got really, really serious in the past 5. And this is why, Sri Lanka has had a revolution, and you're starting to see, what was it, the Netherlands, also similar tale there, where they're trying to crack down on emissions of people that are just trying to produce enough food to sell into the economy so that we can eat and stay alive. These basic fundamental economic needs are being supplanted by wokeness. You can call it that. You can call it a cultural Marxist revolution. There's whatever label you want to put to it, but they are essentially couching what sounds like they're looking after the world and the globe and da 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 da. That's how they're selling it to the people, but in reality, it ultimately just ends up funneling additional power to the central banks, as well as the governments the world over, as well as the World Economic Forum and some like supranational organizations. It sounds very Alex Jonesy, and I know it sounds totally crazy, but I have researched it adequately to be convinced that it is not just real, but deeply implanted into our entire global economic framework.
And I can tell you, I work for a Fortune 500 company. I won't say
for a Fortune 500.
yeah, I won't say where because people on the internet are psychotic freaks, and but I have seen internal documents talking about ESG and
He has the documents.
He's got the documents.
and saying specifically that for corporations, big companies, ESG is no longer a choice. It's a must. You have to do it, and I think it has something to do with being able to get cheap credit.
Sure. Yeah, I know. That's what I have heard you speak about it, Clint. In case you were wondering, it's something I have listened to your show. Thank you. I just don't catch it. I don't catch every episode of anybody's show.
Of course, right.
And even the shows that I'm a patron
totally
of,
kidding.
I don't. You know what I mean? And I'm very, very slim on patron dollars for people. But even the shows that I'm a patron of, I don't catch every episode. But I've heard you speak about it more than probably anybody else, except for I've talked a little bit about it with Top, because Top understands it pretty well. I said explain it to me like a retard because I am kind of retarded. But it just seems to me like it's like a social credit score for business, right? I mean, that's really what it is.
Yeah.
I think that's the simplest way to explain it, is that it's essentially able to dictate, all of the framework of civilization that they want to see implemented into the world, but not to the individual, even though they're doing that too with cancel culture and cutting people off from your banking accounts and firing you from your jobs and kind of unpersoning you, deplatforming you. That's all coming too. This is totally separate from that. Well, not actually totally separate from it, but I'll explain that in a second. So it's really the big businesses of the world that, in order to maintain not just their capital flow, but rather their share value. Like if you don't get the BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard of the world, the biggest money managers on earth, to be willing to invest in your company, you're basically DOA.
Right.
And because the biggest money managers on earth all have a relationship with either the government or the central bank, usually both. Not usually, always both. You simply do whatever you're told, and that's what they're doing. And BlackRock has been the biggest proponent of ESG of probably any entity, governmental or otherwise, on Earth. So much so that Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, he sends out a letter to his shareholders once a year where he declares quite proudly that we're the biggest driver of ESG ideology and guidance the world over. And because they manage $10 trillion, well, now it's down to like 8.5 because the stock market's taking a shit. But regardless, they have more assets under management than anybody else, and they're the biggest proponent of it. Well, that means that you're going to have a ton of businesses that otherwise disagree with ESG on a fundamental level, just saying, hey, we better get in line with this stuff. Otherwise, our corporate credit score, our ESG score, will decline to the point that we lose our beneficial relationship with both the central banks and the government.
Sure. Wes Fanning, thanks for the $2 super chat. He said Clint bought all the right people hot tubs.
That's right, dude.
Did you buy a hot tub for somebody legitimately?
No, that was a joke between Britt and I way back.
Okay.
Yeah. I never bought anyone a hot tub.
Somebody
He jumped in on the hot tub
I did
meta
not,
of
see this
Twitch.
episode, but they said that it was a cool episode with Clay Clark that you had.
Yeah.
It's funny that somebody brings that up. So I talked through email to somebody about booking Clay Clark on the show. I'm not super familiar with Clay. But I said, yeah, totally. Because I kind of looked at what he was doing and this tour that he's got going on. What is it? Revive America or some shit like that.
Something like that.
Yeah. Awaken or Reawaken America tour or something. And I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. I'd love to have him on. Let's get it scheduled soon, you know? And then I took that hiatus from the show. And I swear to God, he's got 3 different people that have sent me text messages and emails, 100 a month since we talked, dude. Like, hey Josh, what's up? Boom, you still ready to have Clay on the show? Bam, boom, boom. They all this, like, it's like the craziest, like, aggressive marketing to get him on shows that I've ever seen in my entire life. I've never seen anything like it. It's been fucking nuts, dude.
Yeah, they have a real solid marketing team that's trying to get that whole organization off the ground. And it looks like they're succeeding at it, so God bless them.
It was crazy, but I am going to have him on. I talked, and just recently I said, well, is he coming around Iowa? Because we're trying to prioritize the in-person shows. That's what we want to do. But you know, it's hard to get people to come to the fucking snowy Midwest. I don't know.
There's not even snow yet.
Winter in the Midwest.
What?
It's winter in the Midwest. It's hell on
earth. It's not
earth.
even winter yet, but it's fucking winter though. Like
It'll be there
the other
soon.
day, I was like, you know, it was like 20 degrees the other day.
Yeah.
And Julie, I'm like, sweetie, it's fucking winter. And she's like, this is not winter, it's fall.
Yeah.
It's the fall time. I'm like, listen, I'm from California. Anything under 50 degrees is winter. Okay. It doesn't matter what time of the month or what time of the year it is. Anything under 50 degrees is winter to me. That's it.
Yeah, where you live, it feels like winter to me year round. So,
well, no, we get hot as fuck in the summer, dude. We do.
I know that still feels like winter to me, dude.
We get like 100 degrees with 100% humidity. Like the humidity is fucked
It's
up
fun.
here. It sucks.
You're
I
swimming.
still bring a jacket. If it's not San Diego, I'm not happy.
That's true. There's no oceans, no beaches.
Yeah,
none of that
dude.
good
I mean,
stuff.
San Diego's so good.
What part of San Diego
Dude.
did you live in?
Carlsbad. I mean, I lived
Carlsbad.
in all different parts, but Carlsbad was where I spent like the last decade of my life there, and it was majestic. I miss it terribly.
I lived in Imperial Beach for 3.5 years or something. And it was probably some of the greatest times of my life. Even though I like got married and then went through a divorce while I was there, it was still fucking awesome.
That's how great San Diego is, man.
It's
You
true,
can have your
dude.
heart broken. You can have your whole life.
Dude, like my whole life was just uprooted. But you know what? I'm at Pacific Beach at Margarita Rocks drinking Wednesday $1 margaritas, dude. I don't give a shit. Like, it's over.
Yeah, well, until the lockdowns, San
Yeah.
Diego could do no wrong as far as I was concerned. But
Yeah, it
after
was
that,
definitely the best part of California for sure. There's no
oh
doubt.
yeah, by a mile.
So, dude, Russia. I don't know if we talked a little bit about this on the show last time, but there's now the what are they called? The fucking caucus and the Democrats.
The Progressive
Oh,
Caucus.
Progressive Caucus.
Didn't they roll their shit back?
Did they roll it back?
Yeah, I think they rolled it back, like their anti-war stance.
Because they were pushing to get into peace talks with Putin. They were pushing Biden to go into peace talks with Putin.
For about 22 hours, they were.
Was that it?
Yeah, they sent a letter and then they backpedaled and apologized wholeheartedly for it. And they weren't even calling in their letter. They weren't even calling for the immediate, stopping of the sending of weapons and infinite billions of dollars to them.
Right.
They were just saying, "Hey, maybe we should talk to them."
Yeah, we should have some peace talks.
Maybe we should talk to the other guys that have 4,000 plus nuclear weapons. And then 22 hours later, they're like, "Just kidding. That was crazy of us. We could never be so un-American as to consider not nuking the world." So yeah.
Well, I saw there's infinite like Ukrainian flag blue checks now, right? Like they all have there's this one guy on there. I always forget his fucking name, but he literally made a post that was like, "Peace talks with Russia happen when Putin's dead." Like that was literally, he posted that on Twitter. By the way, didn't get his fucking account removed.
Was it Kinzinger?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes,
Yeah.
Adam. Yep, that was the one.
Yeah, he's the worst. I mean, I don't even it's the most extraordinary psyop I've ever seen in my life. And we just went through fucking COVID, for God's sakes. Like the craziest psyop of all time. And now we're like, hey, Clint, do you think we could get nuttier? And they're like, fuck yeah, we can. We can have nuclear war without a debate. How about that? It's crazy. It's
there's a statement today by Putin where he swore off the nukes. He said war with Ukraine does not include nuclear weapons.
Well, yeah, because they're fucking right there. I mean, it would be ridiculous.
But it was a news story where this guy's a maniacal dictator killer, and then he says, oh well, the nukes are off the table, and it's taken as his word. Oh,
do you
know
why?
Well,
do you know why though?
What's that?
Do you know why he's saying that?
I do not know why.
Because I think that the Russians believe that either the UK, MI6, or CIA, American government is attempting to false flag a dirty nuclear bomb explosion in Ukraine to justify an Article 5 violation, which would allow NATO to fucking move on Russia and Ukraine. So they have to make it as clear as possible that if that occurs, it was not them.
Right. That makes sense.
See. It doesn't make sense to use a nuclear weapon in Ukraine, just geographically where it's located. It wouldn't make sense
anyways, because they know that's a red line that would cause the end of civilization,
right?
Because they haven't completely lost their fucking minds, unlike the NATO alliance, which is clearly out of its mind. It's really bizarre. It's absolutely bizarre that we're portraying Putin as a madman while we behave as insane as humanly possible. And yet we're framed as the good guys in all this, and Ukraine in particular is framed as the innocent victim, and it's all so maddening to witness, especially after I've done all of the research. For those that aren't familiar with the backdrop of this story, check out my episode called "The War They Wanted." I issued it a couple weeks ago, and it's already the most viewed solo episode I've ever done, where I lay out the entire history of the past decade, where we did everything in our power to bring this conflict about. And then we turned around and act as if Putin's this aggressive lunatic that we could have never foresaw this. It's like you have McCain and Lindsey Graham on the ground in 2016 saying next year is the year of offense, and he's talking to Ukrainian soldiers in Ukraine, talking about the assaults in eastern Ukraine against Russia. It's like this has been in the works for years and years, and the American people have no idea of the backstory, so they're just completely being sleptwalked into nuclear Armageddon.
Well, and the American public doesn't. I mean, they just don't. It's not even that they don't give a shit; they just don't fucking know.
They don't know. No, it started in 2014. They never bring it up. Some news outlets will bring that up.
Right.
That this happened with the invasion in 2014, but I do not know why do we have any interest over there at all. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Well,
we pivot because we get out of a war and we have to pivot and have a new enemy.
Well, I'll tell you, Clint and I were both on a show the other night together called "We Love the State," and I tried to break it down a little bit in my opinion, not at all an expert opinion. You know what I mean? I'm fucking, like we said at the beginning of the show, I'm like 9/10 retard. Okay. I am.
Let's be honest. He's kind of retarded.
Alex Jones without the intelligence.
Point taken.
Okay, that's saying a lot because Alex Jones is pretty fucking retarded too. Okay, so I've never claimed to be like the smartest guy in the world. I'm just entertaining because I'm retarded and funny, right? But the truth is,
you're retarded
and funny, and you're autistic and sleepy. Listen. So check it out. So this is in my opinion what's going on. Russia is the new Libya. Okay, Putin refuses to cuck to the World Economic Forum, refuses to cuck to the U.S. dollar, refuses to let their country become this diverse communist shithole where they're cutting off 15-year-old kids' dicks and boobs, and you know what I mean.
He mentioned that today.
I know.
He said that there's two Wests. He said there's two Wests.
Right. Well, and that's when I watched his speeches about this shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Broken down and translated. That's what Putin was saying, was like, we're not going to cuck to this Western fucking bullshit. We're going to be Russia. Russia's strong. We're proud. And we're going to be, normal fucking people, basically, is what he said.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I'm sure every president or prime minister is like putting on a show of all kinds of shit. Okay. But Russia is the biggest landmass country in the world. They have the most resources, natural resources in the world. Okay, and the leader of that large landmass stood up and told NATO and the US and all these people, fuck you, we're not going to go along to get along just because you want us to. We have our own culture here that you're not going to impose your will on. Now, if you remember, back when the shit was going on with Libya and Gaddafi, very similar.
Very similar.
Very similar. Gaddafi said, we're not going to go on the euro dollar. We're not going to do this shit for oil. We're going to continue to live our lives like who we are here in Libya. And that's going to be our culture. We're not going to be a Western country. And then all of a sudden, Gaddafi was killing his own people and slaughtering his own people and all this shit. And we had to go in there and take him out because he was killing all his own people and trying to set his eyes on taking over other parts of the Middle East and this and that and this and that. And everyone,
don't forget Saddam Hussein and Assad in Syria.
Oh, well, the Assad thing it was so blatant. You know, Assad's gassing his own people, and someone picks up a gas canister, and it's made in America.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And everyone just sleeps on that shit and doesn't get it, doesn't understand what's going on. But the truth of the matter is our country is imperialistic fucking empire that wants to make the rest of the world ours. And it's always been like that. I mean, the people who settled the United States of America, that's who they were, right? And so that's just what's going on. It's just still this imperialism. It's still empire building. It's the same exact thing. But they have to get 300 million people, right, to support them in these endeavors. Otherwise, there's less than 500 people that make choices for this country. That's what a lot of people understand. Less than 500 people between the executive branch and the House and the judicial, right? Less than 500 people.
The money train. It's
less
a money
than 500 people. There's 370 million of us in this country. Less than 500 people make all of our decisions on a foreign policy level, on a cultural level, on a social level, on an economic level. They make all the decisions for the entire country.
I would say there's a little bit more than 500. There's about 1,000 big businessmen and family money that are actually dictating.
And I'm talking, obviously, I'm just thinking of only politicians. But yes, if you want to talk about the cathedral, which I haven't railed on in a long time here, but I should. The cathedral
we'll slip down the Kanye West path if you go too far.
And Ryan, West path for quite some time on this show recently, and people are upset with me about it, but I don't give a shit. Listen, you can't cancel someone who doesn't give a shit. I've said that on the show several times.
That's right.
But so yeah, okay. There's big businesses, which are, especially the tech companies, which I added the tech companies into the cathedral. The cathedral originally, when it was written about, was the government, higher education, United States higher education, and the corporate news media. I venture to say the tech companies as well. I think, big, especially the social media platforms, needs to be a part of that. I think that's all part of the cathedral. So yes, I would say there's probably a lot. I'm just saying on the actual decision makers that work in DC. But yes, there is a lot more. But it's still probably less than 1,000 people if you really think about it. We're talking about the heads of these companies, not just like everybody at the company. So we're talking about, I'm sure, Bezos and fucking Zuck and Elon for and then there's a couple think
there's
tanks too, like
people
CFR,
in
but
OSHA and the FDA and
three
things like that. 3-letter organizations.
but
some of the
all
higher ups
their-
make
but
a lot
you gotta
of
also remember
decisions.
that, like, all these 3-letter organizations, all their policy has come from Washington. Almost all of their policy.
I mean, they are Washington. They're a part of the Washington machine.
I know. Anyways, I get it. No, I get it.
It's fucking deep.
So, Clint, I mean, I don't know. What do you think's going to happen, dude? What do you think's coming? Predict the future.
Well, yeah, I think it's a little bit more complicated than just wanting to control the world in terms of like resources. I think that was the older paradigm, in that there was like wars of conquest that we masked in this kind of hagiography of defending people's democratic rights and their liberties and all that shit. And obviously we all know that's nonsense, but it's now, because the entire power structure has been financialized and it all comes down to the exchange of the US dollar and whether or not they're utilizing it. That's really the red line of red lines when it comes to any, major foreign power, is, are they going to trade their assets, whatever they are? We don't really care what they are, but if they're going to trade your assets, it has to be in US dollars, or you're kind of on our shit list right away. And if you start to really talk about it loudly and you start to, either buy or sell precious materials such as oil and gas in particular, that's when you really start to see the bombs be threatened and the sabers start to rattle. And I think that that's what's happening with Putin is the entire BRIC organization, Brazil, Russia, India, China, a handful of others, South Africa, they are essentially creating a bipolar world where they're trying to branch off of the manipulation and control mechanisms of the US dollar trading system. And the US, being the unipolar hegemon, is saying, not so fast. We still have, the most dangerous military, and we have, I don't even know if we have the most nukes, but probably close to it. Russia would be the only competitor in that regard. And we have the best economy, even though it sucks. And we're going to basically hold on into the last minute and pray that we can bluff our way into getting these other countries to acquiesce to our demands. And unfortunately, when you have a few billion people that start to wake up to this sick system and say, like, why should we do this? Why should we live at our detriment for the benefit of the American people? Like, why should the Chinese do that? Why should Russia do that? They don't have to do that. If I was them, I wouldn't want to do that. As an American, I have benefited tremendously from the fact that we can print all the money we want and then we just export our inflation to these people. But the third world is getting real sick of it.
Oh, sure.
The ones that are privy to the racket. So I think that's really what this is all about. It's about defending the dollar, and how this plays out is anyone's guess. I mean, it really, like, the next 60 to 90 days in Ukraine could decide the fate of humanity itself. And people are not having a serious conversation about this. Like, as soon as the ground freezes in Ukraine, you could see a full ground assault from the Russians, because they have just been waiting for basically the rainy season to end, because you can't have your tanks roll through very successfully. Once that changes and they go all out, like, what is the intention of NATO? What's the intention of the United States government, who has troops on the ground, who has the 101st Airborne? I think it's in, God, I forget which country it's in, but it's the adjacent country, the bordering country to Ukraine. So they could be basically on the front lines in Ukraine within a few days if they wanted to. I mean, this is all lunacy, and we're not debating it. Like, we don't even have enough pushback from a GOP Congress. Assuming they win, I'm not even sure that they'll bring up a debate. But it's absolutely, I mean, as gaslit and as insane as I felt watching COVID happen without any sort of real serious pushback, this is unbelievable. It's unbelievable that we're, like, not just tiptoeing, but kind of taking big leaps towards World War III, and there's no debate to be found. Like, the Democrats you can't even get a single vote against arming and funding in a clear proxy war from the Democrats, the alleged anti-war party, and you can only get like 20 or something Republican congressmen to go against it. It's crazy, man. Very, very dire.
Is this our next Vietnam?
Oh, bro, this doesn't end. Vietnam was nothing comparatively. I mean, if you go to a hot war with a nuclear power, the biggest nuclear power on Earth, you don't walk away from that. No one wins that. And so no, this is not Vietnam. Not even fucking close.
Jeremy Kaufman has a really funny new video where he's apologizing for saying war is gay by saying war is actually retarded.
Yeah, and he's right.
Well, yeah, he is right. And in that he says Vietnam was won by Vietnam, and Afghanistan was won by goat herders with an average yearly income of $500. And he's right. He's right. We couldn't beat Afghanistan, dude. You know what I mean? And in truth be told, after 20 years, we rolled out of Afghanistan, and the Taliban had retaken the capital within 3 days.
Disproportionately inbred goat herders.
Yes.
With an IQ of 80
who
or
didn't
below.
even know what 9/11 was, by the way.
Correct.
If you talk to people that because I didn't go to Afghanistan. You know what I mean? I was in the Gulf, but I never went to Afghanistan.
Wait, what was the number on IQ?
Very low.
80 or below.
Yeah. But the thing about it is
Google that.
There we had American soldiers marching through there, and there was people in Afghanistan going, "What's going on?" And they're like, "Oh, 9/11, September 11th. Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
The planes ran into the two towers." And they're like,
"What are you talking about?"
They're like, "What the fuck is the World Trade Center? What are you talking about?" They literally don't know what's going on, and we're in that country, and we still couldn't beat them.
Yep.
And now we want to go
1,500 years behind us.
minimum 15
minimum.
And now they want to go to Russia, where By the way, if we were in Russia, our soldiers are not going to know how to deal with that cold. Okay, in the wintertime, we're going to have to just stop all ops.
You would have to get soldiers
special training
specifically
sessions to discuss
from like
pronouns when we're preparing for a war with one of the gnarliest militaries on the planet. It's crazy.
And China, because China's going to back Russia.
Well, if they do, we lose. I mean, even if it doesn't go nuclear, we cannot win that war, period. Not on their fucking ground, not a chance. Right. So I don't know what we're doing. I mean, I understand what we're doing. We're trying to defend the dollar, but like the game of chicken that we're playing is a unwinnable premise. You can't fucking win this war. You cannot. So stop pretending that you can. And I fucking hate the GOP that comes out and we can't go to war with Russia. We have to be building up to go to war with China. It's like both sides of the aisle have lost their minds. They're so detached from reality. They have no understanding of what our actual military capabilities are. There's no way we could fucking win a ground invasion against China.
Or
You're
Russia,
fucking
for that
out of
matter.
your minds. They have 1.4 billion people, and they also have nukes. And then you have Russia, who's got 4,000 nukes. Crazy.
Who's our commander in chief?
I'd give us 50-50 odds against.
I don't know.
No, it's probably Ron Klain.
I sure wish it was Fetterman.
Somebody in the chat earlier was saying we should send Fetterman to negotiate with Putin.
It says mission accomplished.
Like he walks out, he's like, hello, good night, everyone. War's over.
War's over. We're
All
done.
right, thanks, Fetterman. We appreciate you. No, that'd be fucking hilarious. Could you imagine him? I almost want to fucking start like a write-in Fetterman for president campaign, dude, because that would be fucking hilarious.
Oh, that's like there was a group of people that made just the most outlandish Twitter accounts for Pete Buttigieg. So the only other Twitter account I have owned was one of these accounts called Maps for Pete.
Oh, Maps for Pete Buttigieg. That's fucking hilarious.
I had
a fat Ben Shapiro account on Twitter for a while, and that was pretty funny. But they took me down so quick, dude, because I'm like, this is my fucking sock account. I'm gonna go hard on this shit, and then they pulled it down really fast. Kyle Matovic in the chat, thanks for the $2 super chat. He said China and Russia are the new enemies. Look up NDS. The fuck is NDS, dude?
Yeah, I don't know.
NDS
something.
I don't know. We'll look it up.
DSAC.
Jamie, pull it up. Pull up NDS, buddy. Look up NDS for us.
It's National Defense Strategies.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, Malice is on point. They say to let the inmates run the asylum. Yeah, I like Malice. Malice watches all my shows. I'm sure of it. So.
Oh, really?
Nice. Yeah, he watches every show.
Malice, I just finished reading The New Right recently.
You know, I was kidding, right? He doesn't watch his fucking show. I've been trying to get Malice on the show for almost 2 years, and I can't remember if it was Toad or somebody from Tower Power Hour went on his stream and dropped a super chat and asked, "What would it take to get you on Break the Cycle?" And he said, "A court order."
I fucking love Malice.
A court order. He literally said a court order.
I love that the anarchists would actually honor a court order. That's fun.
That's fucking.
Malice
hasn't come on your show yet, has he, Clint?
No.
Could we make up a fake court order?
He's upset with me because I said
and
that
send
we
it
ought
to
to be going
Malice?
hard at Meghan McCain, and he was like,
"Oh, that's right. Yeah, he
no."
did kind of go fucking real gay on the Meghan McCain thing, dude."
Yeah. So
that sucks.
Oops.
That's unfortunate. Well, he's like friends with her husband or something.
Yeah,
I think.
which is fine.
Yeah.
But like, don't tell me that I shouldn't be mean to this person who has argued that the January 6th protesters should be thrown in Gitmo.
Right.
Like, I'm going to be mean to that person,
especially when nobody belonged in Gitmo more than her dad.
Right.
I mean, her and maybe I don't know. Could we make any kind of argument that someone belonged in Gitmo more than John McCain?
Dick Cheney.
Dick Cheney's up there for sure.
Yeah.
Madeleine Albright.
Rachel Maddow.
No.
I'd say Victoria Nuland.
Definitely Madeleine. I think Madeleine Albright, just because of how she talked about Iraq, makes me sicker than all of the people. Like, yeah, I know John McCain did the bomb Iran thing, but like Madeleine Albright went on fucking 60 Minutes and was like, they asked her, was 100 dead Iraqi children worth it? And she said, yeah, we think it's worth it. She literally said that in public.
John McCain came out in opposition to torture 10 years after we had been caught red-handed doing it. So I think that wins him not most worthy of Gitmo.
Bolton belongs in there too.
Yeah, Bolton. Yeah, Bolton's up there.
I mean,
it's
we could
intensive interrogation techniques, right?
Yes.
right.
Intensive.
We should be able to fill Gitmo with just straight up fucking Warhawks.
We're going to need
There's
to build a
plenty of
bigger
room.
prison.
We're gonna
that's
need
for sure.
we're gonna need a bigger prison.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think these people. It's just crazy when you think about you know, what red pilled me initially was the war, right? The war in Iraq. That was
Sure.
what brought me here. That's what got me to where I am today. And it was kind of the thought, like, I was like, wow, all these people are dying for fucking absolutely no reason. Why? What is it? Why does this make sense? I mean, we're killing innocent people are dying in Iraq. I mean, you cannot dispute that hundreds of thousands of innocent people died in Iraq, and to think about that and still support war, knowing that it's going to kill hundreds of thousands of innocent people, either means you're a fucking demon or you're an idiot. That's all you get. There is no other option.
But my $3 gas.
Yeah, and that's the truth. Is the vast majority of the public, especially, are just we're not dealing with the greatest thinkers of our time. We're dealing with NPC people on Twitter and fucking that have normal day jobs, and you know what I mean. A lot of us, I'm not saying that I'm smart, but I'm smarter than the average person when it comes to this kind of shit.
Yeah, but if not for the government, these people wouldn't have any say over our lives. Like that's the whole reason I'm an ANCAP, is because I don't want the NPCs to have any say over my life or how I survive. And it's like these people now are the predominant voter in both parties, and that is not tenable to someone who wants to be free. So like it needs to stop. And I don't know how to stop it, because we function in a quote unquote, democracy, democratic republic, ideally, which is no longer a thing really. And these people are just consistently voting me deeper and deeper into the gulag. And it's like, when does this stop?
I think a lot of those people that are voting you into the gulag, Clint, they want you in the gulag.
A lot of them do. A lot of them, yeah. But I think most of them don't. I think most of them don't actually want to see their ideological opponents imprisoned over wrong think. But it's obviously that percentage is increasing year after year in the divide that came through COVID, where you had people who still believed in bodily autonomy and the right to leave their home and work and basic life. Yeah, that divide has now been increased upon itself via the whether or not you stand with Ukraine. It's just they constantly throw these like new dividing lines that we have to decide which side we're on, and whether or not you're an American, because if you don't support an endless proxy war with the biggest nuclear power on earth, then obviously you're un-American. And it just becomes more and more of a divide, which is why I advocate so strongly for peaceful secession. I want those that still value bodily autonomy and entrepreneurialism and capitalism and all these things that are, really basic fundamental American values, in my view, to have their own landmass and their own government if they want it. And I just don't want to be ruled over by these people anymore. They're extraordinarily dangerous. And it's becoming more and more clear to me that like, we can't just let this train run off its own tracks. Like we have to figure out a different way. And I know everybody's trying their own path to see that come about, and I don't know what's going to prevail, but it's like everybody's got to be trying. we have to be trying whatever we can.
Well, Clint, how do you feel about the Jews?
I'm a big fan.
I'm a fan too. They're great people. I really like them.
Yeah.
Holy whiplash!
No, I was going to bring up Kanye, but I thought that'd be a funny segue into the Kanye, because I want to talk about Alex Jones specifically with Clint, but I think Kanye needs to be spoken about on every show right now too.
Well, with the Kanye thing, when he was talking about new dividing lines, whenever the next big thing like comes out, I just want to retweet something and just say new dividing line just dropped.
Yeah. So Kanye is being canceled right now,
aggressively.
And Clint and I talked about this on that show we were on the other night with Andy Coons, who's amazing, by the way, great guy. And I did talk about on that show as well. I'm doing a metal song with Andy Coons right now. He's putting out a full metal album, and I'm working on bridge hook for the last song on that. So that's going to be fun. Look for that soon. It's going to be dope. But Clint said that Kanye is quite possibly the most influential black man of our time. And I agree.
Besides George Floyd, obviously.
I actually said that too. I said besides Black Jesus.
Black Jesus, that's right. He did say
you got
that.
Black Jesus and you got Yeezus. You get to pick.
Yeah. it's so bizarre to me. The whole thing is so bizarre to me because, like, I don't have a problem with Jewish people whatsoever. You know what I mean? My dad's side of the family is Israeli. I grew up around Jews. I get it. You know what I mean? And people constantly call me anti-Semitic for railing against Israel and the Zionist state and apartheid and, you know, the treatment of Palestinians and taking of their homes and shit like that. And how I do believe that a lot of our foreign policy that's been bad over the last 20 years or 30 years has had a lot to do with Israel as well. None of that means that I hate Jews or that I think that Jews are bad, because when you're talking about a government, you're not talking about a religion. They've just somehow conflated the two together over the last 100 years.
Humans are hardwired to worship.
Right, but they're saying basically that if you criticize that specific government, then you're an anti-Semitic, which is just bullshit. It's absolutely fucking stupid to even think that that's the same thing. But what I brought up, and I think I brought it up on the show the other day too, was Kanye's in the hip-hop world, okay? And when hip-hop started back in the 70s and 80s, those spaces were dominated by Jewish record executives and Jewish promoters and Jewish... I mean, they've been in the entertainment. They are overrepresented in the entertainment industry, and they, and Jewish agents, and so the black dudes coming off the street out of Brooklyn and Queens, like Run DMC and shit, they had no fucking idea what they're. In fact, if you've ever watched the Run DMC documentary where they're talking about how they got the Adidas deal, like it's one of the funniest fucking things I've ever heard, because they were back then. In the late 70s and early 80s, Adidas was a German company in Germany. Okay. Yeah. In fact, they were like nationalized during World War II. They took them over. They made them make like boots for soldiers and shit like that. And they were under a different name. But so Adolf,
Hitler.
No, not Hitler. The owner of Adidas.
Hitler.
Yeah.
His name was
Adolf Adidas.
It was Adolf Dassler, and so that's how they got the name Adidas. But all of a sudden, there was like a huge spike in sales on Adidas, and this German company who sold in America but not a lot had fucking no idea where the spike was coming from. They had no idea, and then someone went to them and said, "Oh, there's a hip hop group in America that wrote a song, My Adidas," right? You know the song by Run DMC, right?
Oh, right.
So they wrote the song, and they're wearing the shell toes and the tracksuits, and everyone in the hood's buying the shit. And Adidas comes over here and goes, "Holy shit, it's real." They wrote a fucking song, and they're like, "Bang!
Yep.
We're gonna give you guys a fucking $1 million deal." Okay, Run DMC would go on to turn them into a fucking multi-billion-dollar company.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and they did it all off of $1 million. Okay. And that's not me saying anything about Jewish people, because it was literal Nazis that started fucking Adidas. Okay,
Right.
like literal fucking Nazis used the black people in the hood from Queens to bolster their program here in the United States for shoes. Okay, but if you take that story to heart, these young black dudes from the hood didn't really know anything about business, just really liked this company.
Right.
And that company was like, "Wow, these people just turned us into billionaires. Here's $1 million." They totally took advantage of them.
Yeah.
100%. They took advantage of them because they didn't understand business, but they knew that they had a following and they were doing something new, and there was a movement behind hip hop. And so, of course, the people that are representing these people in entertainment world, a lot of whom are Jewish, were taking advantage of the young black males. That's the truth. That's a real thing that happened.
But it's also kind of difficult to say that they got majorly taken advantage of when given.
If you look at the hip hop,
when given $1 million,
no, they got. I mean, for only $1 million for what they did for Adidas, that was taking advantage. Trust me.
Yeah, I'm not.
That should have been a $15 million deal, dude. Minimum. Okay, and that's like a speculative deal. They should have got all kinds of royalties and shit when it was over, said and done with, and they didn't. Okay,
I'm not pushing back on that at all. I'm saying there's a culture clash there, where you have the Jewish guys from old money and probably have investment money.
They're
right?
businessmen,
and they're businessmen.
Yeah.
So they've got a product, and they've got young people that are green, and also there's a culture there in the hip hop culture in inner cities where they're not exactly thinking about 3 years down the road, right? So you come to them with a deal, and you say, "I'll give you 10 grand to do this."
Right.
They see the 10 grand. They don't go, "Oh, well, I want a percentage of this later on."
Right. Well,
that
they
all
didn't know
comes
business.
later. That's
They
all the
didn't know
Kanye stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
But that's.
But I understand what you mean.
So to bring it back in, That's where Kanye is coming from. He's coming from that hip hop world where he saw these Jewish people with gold chains and fucking wind blazer jackets coming in and be like, yo, we're going to hook you guys up. And then they put them through these record deals, right? And they get nothing. And it happens all the time. It still happens right now. Anybody who's worked in the entertainment or music, especially the music industry, knows that record executives will take. That's why so many people wanted to become independent artists.
Yeah.
That's why people like Tom McDonald are fucking flourishing, because he is his own distribution. He is his own record label. He's his own everything. Yeah, he's his own everything. He never had to fucking work with the record execs, and he did it all on his own. That's the dream in music, because it's the only way you make money now. You have to tour.
You have to have the business acumen, though, and that's the whole thing. Is like there aren't many people that are both a creative and a business specialist. So that's a very rare skill set. So you're going to see this all the time with artists that want to market their art to the world, and a musician is an artist, that they're going to be taken advantage of. What I get troubled by is that it's this group blame, this categorization, this collectivization of we're the victims, they're the oppressors, and it's like this is the story as old as time. It doesn't matter their nationality or their religious beliefs. It's the individuals that are the problem. If you have Jewish businessmen or Italian businessmen or white German American businessmen, they're going to do it, dude. It's like it doesn't fucking matter. So like if you have beef with these individuals, name them. Right. Name the individuals. Name the agencies that are really capitalizing on taking advantage of ignorant young black men, if that's what you.
And I agree.
One of my favorite artists, Caleb Mitchell. Caleb Mitchell.
Who's that?
Smaller independent rap artist. I might actually. If you'd be interested,
I'll be
could probably get him on the show.
Your favorite hip hop artist was XXX
Tentacion.
That was enough for me, dude. No, we're good. I don't need to hear your opinions anymore on.
But he's
there's a conversation starter.
Yeah, but he's made that dream a reality. Like this past month, he hit 500,000 monthly listeners on Spotify.
That's huge, dude. On your own, on his own.
Yeah, on his own. Like at one point, he took a deal for a single of his that was pretty big, and it ended up being like the theme song for the Jets for the 2019 season. Ended up on like a Madden game or something. But he said like it was because of like medical bills or something that he was like, yeah, I basically had to take this, and it wasn't a great deal for me.
Right.
But
it never is.
But I think he has pretty good business acumen. So
anybody
he didn't get himself in the hole for
level. Okay,
the long term.
As someone who's toured and played music, and our bread and butter was playing shows. I mean, that's where we actually can make a couple bucks to get to the next show.
Yeah,
and merch sales, right? Other than that, like, I know so many people that have been signed by record labels. I've worked with record labels, tried to get. I worked with Island Def Jam for a while. Like, I know how the business works. And especially in the digital music age now, the only way you're making money is by touring your fucking ass off and selling a ton of fucking merch. Your music is not making you money anymore unless you're an independent
How many
artist.
pennies do you make off your $1.99 Apple download?
Exactly. But I just to rear this back in, because we are going to get into the Alex Jones stuff for a little bit here. I understood where Kanye was coming from. Okay,
me too.
Because he's seen that in the hip hop world, and it is, the agencies and the executives are disproportionately Jewish people. Okay, so that's where he's coming from. Do I think he worded it right? Of course not. Does Kanye ever word anything right?
Well, so do you think he's
his
crazy
lyrics.
or genius? Right? Do you think he's a crazy or
there's
genius?
a thin line there, buddy.
Very. I think he's a genius. Yeah, he's absolutely a genius. So the Tucker. Did you watch the Tucker interview, Clint?
I've watched every Kanye interview over the past month.
Excellent. I didn't think he said anything crazy.
No.
I just think there were clips that were edited and maybe presented in a way that would make him look unbalanced. I do think he's surrounded by a lot of yes people. And so when he talks, kind of, takes his time because he can. And,
he said crazy things for a long time. This is the man that when George Bush doesn't care about black people.
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
That was a good one.
And
he was right. He was very right.
And he said like 4 years ago that he thinks black people are still slaves.
Right.
But then he just came out recently and said that being a slave was a choice.
Yeah,
What I
yeah,
think's-
that's
what
what
I-
it was.
What I
Yeah.
think's fascinating about Kanye is that he's constantly talking about moving past our historical hurts. Like that's his big thing. He's constantly talking about love and coming together, and we're people. We're not our colors. We're not our race. But then he talks about wanting to uplift his people. He's like he's the way I view him. He's on this like this fault line in our culture where he is both um, evolved enough to have realized that the divides that we appear to face, we don't really, but at the same time, he's still mentally trapped there. And I think that that's what we're witnessing is someone who's trying to like break free and become a truly evolved being, but is still stuck in the tribalistic worldview that comes from being in the Black community that is kind of an us against them, us against the world type of mentality. So I greatly appreciate the struggle that he's in. I think it's a beautiful thing to witness, and I love that it's happening publicly. I hate that he has to suffer so deeply financially and reputationally by doing so. But I completely commend him and encourage him to continue on this process. It's a very healthy discussion to be having as to do we own any of the hurts that come from people that looked like us before we were born, and does that hurt that happened to people that look like us before we were born, does that entitle us to something? And I think these are all from my individualist perspective and a kind of a Buddhist living in the now perspective. I think the answer is clearly no. But from his perspective, his community's perspective, there has been a meme. Even Maj Touré has talked about the reparations argument, things like that, where I think that this discussion needs to happen. I don't endorse reparations, but I love the fact that the conversation's being had because I think the only way we move through this together is to have an adult, difficult conversation. And what's unfortunate is that as he's talking about how I can't have this conversation without being canceled, he's being
canceled.
proven that he is being canceled very aggressively, which ultimately adds to the belief system of people that believe that it is this Jewish cabal that runs the world, da 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 da, and it makes him look as if that's actually legitimately true, whereas I believe it's this powerful cabal of wealthy people, regardless of race or religion, that do run the world, and they do have cancel culture, and they do use that to keep people in line. And it's like that's all real, but I just think it misses the mark when you just talk about them being Jewish or Black or whatever. It's like no, this is kind of a class issue more than it is a religious or color one.
Sure. And so we'll cap off the easy talk here with one solid question that I have for all three of you guys. Will Adidas survive losing Kanye and the Russians? Clint, you first.
I mean, if you lose the Black community and the Russian community, all you have left are the Eastern Europeans, and I don't think that's enough to keep your.
They'll
stock
soon be
afloat.
decimated by nuclear war.
Right, exactly. So your entire market is
it's over.
It's
all you have left is the Germans, and we know how that works. What do you think, AJ? Do you think they'll survive?
Billiat. All I can think about is my tracksuit that's in my closet right now.
Yeah, I'm sure you.
I
figure you would have one.
I'm gonna wear my tracksuit
I have
next
a tracksuit
week
too.
We should all wear Adidas tracksuits to show solidarity.
That would be fucking savage.
I would have to own one first.
With Adidas after what they did to Kanye? No thanks, man.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to go burn all my Adidas shit. Don't fuck with Kanye, dude.
Yeah.
What about you, buddy? You think Adidas is going to survive losing the Russians and the Kanye West empire? I think he was
probably because they have broad enough appeal.
I think he was
outside of that.
over 6% of their sales just were Yeezys. That's a lot, dude.
Damn. I think they'll survive. I don't think they won't suffer any pain from it, but it'll be a painful survival. But they'll claw their way through.
Do you think Elon is going to give me my Twitter account back? What do you think, Clint?
I don't remember what you got suspended for.
I said one word: death. It was literally a one-word comment.
Wow.
Do you remember? This was a lot of months ago now, but do you remember that weird educator thing that was talking about how we needed to normalize the term minor attracted person and how pedophile was a derogatory term and all this shit? Do you remember that? She made all these videos and stuff. It was an obvious woman that was a they, them, Z's or whatever.
And you quote tweeted it with just death.
I know.
Right?
I didn't even quote tweet it. I literally just posted a comment under it that just said death.
Wait, that's
incredible.
That's
that
incredible. Whole thing is a meme.
I hope. I don't know.
Like just saying death that's a whole
That's
ass
what got you
meme.
banned?
That's what got my 20,000 follower Twitter account banned. Yeah. Yep. I had 20,000 followers. I was like less than 100 followers away from 20,000, and I posted that at night, and I woke up and my account was gone in the morning. And they said that it was inciting violence and targeted harassment.
Because if you said death with no apparent target,
Nothing.
to no one with no motive,
Just a comment.
your platform is big enough? Is that what it is?
I
It's
guess.
like an Alex Jones thing?
But the thing was, and I wrote I went through this shit hard. I wrote the fucking Better Business Bureau in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Because I heard there was a way to get your account back by doing that. Because it really fucking kneecapped my show and everything.
Yeah.
Big time. Dude, big time. My show dropped 1,000 listeners a week.
You mean your ESG was affected?
My ESG was affected, yeah. And so I wrote them and I said I was discussing capital punishment for people who hurt children. That's literally
that makes sense.
That was my whole argument, was capital punishment for people who hurt children. Should it exist or should it not? I believe that it should. I think that, hurting vulnerable people makes you an evil, irredeemable piece of shit, and maybe that there should be a discussion had that if you hurt children, the most vulnerable in our society, children and invalid old people, maybe we should talk about whether there's a capital punishment clause.
If you had just replied with like trebuchet or catapult, I think you could have got away with it. But death was a little too specific. I mean, I feel for you, man. It sucks. Reed got banned for a similar thing. Yeah, obviously, I think that Elon is sincere in wanting to bring the dissident right, quote unquote, back in. So I hope that they just fucking greenlight everybody, man. Like me, I'm free speech absolutist. Like I want complete open dialogue. I think that's actually how you work.
I'll be very excited when I see Donald Trump back on Twitter.
They just fired the CEO
back, I don't even
Twitter.
care about Trump as much as I do you guys. Like I just want all my friends back.
No, I want Trump back because that will be a signal that we're fixing things on Twitter. Listen, I'm not a Trump supporter. We've talked about this on the show. I'm not a Trump supporter.
But his Twitter was the greatest thing ever.
On Twitter, dude.
The comedy.
He was just funny.
It was so good.
But okay, so they just fired the CEO of Twitter,
kiss the guys.
And I have a proposal. We have a proposal for the new CEO, Kanye West.
Dude, that would be fucking hilarious. If
that would be incredible.
Kanye West, the new CEO of Twitter, that would be so funny. That'd be so funny. But you saw him walk into the Twitter headquarters with a fucking sink. Did you see that clip?
Yeah, I saw it.
And he just said, "Let that sink in."
Yeah, let that sink in.
It was a fucking dad joke that
he loves dad jokes.
It was good. It was, hey, dude, that's one of the best. That's the best. People don't understand. Like, I don't agree with Elon on a lot of shit, right? But my favorite thing about Elon is that he's such an awkward autist that his jokes are fucking hilarious, dude. And he's not even he's not purposely hilarious. He's just fucking hilarious, dude. And so I don't know, dude. I hope that it signals a turning point in this crazy cancel culture that we see, because really the fucking Babylon Bee thing is what made him go and buy that. You remember when they pulled Babylon Bee down?
Yeah,
that was when he was like, "Fuck this! This is bullshit." You could literally pull down a comedy satire site that says they're satire. You pulled them down,
or
off Twitter.
misgendering someone.
Somebody.
Now, if you don't know, according to my pronouns on Twitter, I get misgendered all the time because my pronouns are Ian/Crossland.net.
This is my Ian Crossland, by the way. Yeah. He's going to talk about graphene, and we're counting down to the graphene talk. It's coming.
Well, see, the reason I'm so hopeful and the reason I'm also so black-pilled and don't think that this is actually going to go in the direction we want is because my personal opinion is that the social media platforms are kind of the front lines of ESG. That's where they get to really enforce narrative, and they get to de-person anybody who really goes against whatever the current thing TM is. And I just don't think that they can have a major platform that allows for real open free speech, because it would just demonstrate how unbelievably censored you are in the other places. And I think that there would be a mass exodus from these platforms. If you go over to Parler, you go over to this is the first time that one that is being used by everybody of all political stripes that could actually go back to free speech. That's never happened. All we have seen is the old guard become more and more censorious. Well, the dissidents that get booted, they go over into their own little sandbox over in fucking Parlor where they get to call each other the N-word, freely. And it's like it's never happened before. So it will be a total paradigm shift. Like they won't be able to control the narrative if you totally uncensor or get close to where you just ban people for violence, nothing else. Like it's gonna be fucking glorious. So I'm rooting for him. I mean, he's obviously got a bunch of like, I don't know, post physical humans type worldview that concern me.
And he supports UBI, and I mean he's fucking.
He wants to build a neural net that reads your mind.
Yeah,
no big deal.
I feel like he lives like 80,
or that at least
80 years in the
concerns
future.
me. I wouldn't say that I don't agree with it, but it's like at the same time though, I think it's kind of a Luddite perspective to think that shit's not going to happen. Like if it's going to happen, would you rather the CCP develop it or would you rather Elon Musk? Like I think the answer is probably Elon. I would have at least a chance of it not being some dystopic nightmare if it's him. If it's the CCP, it's fucking game over.
Well,
so
I'll say this about Elon. He's like one of the very few like ultra elite rich in this world that I don't feel like is trying to kill me.
Right.
Honestly, I believe I really do. I feel like all the elite rich want us all dead so they can hoard everything to themselves.
Just
and he's like the one that doesn't.
Just the fact that he's like, our gravest danger is not AI, it's not nuclear war, it's depopulation. It's the fact that we aren't reproducing. That is such an unpopular opinion for someone in his position to hold that I can't help but think that means that he is a true outsider, a guy who's actually maybe on the side of the people here, because that is a very unpopular thing to talk about in the ESG world where overpopulation and carbon is a toxin and our very existence is destroying the planet. To say no, we need to have more people, that's bold.
That was very refreshing. He's pro-family. He's a pro-family elitist.
Yep.
He's a pro-family richest man on earth. He has an opportunity to be John Galt, or he can be, the greatest foil, greatest misdirect in my lifetime. So for just the need for a white pill, I'm going to believe he's John Galt for now.
Garbage Man, what's up, Andy? He said, if you have money, send a $5 super chat to Josh and tell him you love him. I agree. We lost the super chats. Man, we used to get super chats like crazy. I don't know what happened, but you guys know that you can use the super chat function to get to get your questions asked on air of the guests, of us, or just to have whatever you want heard. I pretty much say them all. Even when I had Josh Denny on the show, who I love, by the way, Josh Denny came on and he's got like this huge cabal of people who fucking hate him and they troll every show he's on. And he's like, I asked him before the show, I'm like, hey, they're gonna drop super chats so that I ask you. He's like, I don't give a fuck what it is, ask everything, we'll sit there all night and take super chats. And dude, I asked every question, everyone. It was fucking hilarious, dude. But I'm always down. JC,
what we're learning is that my haters are broke.
Yeah, you got. I also have
can't
broke
even afford
haters.
to ask.
I also, because my haters could pop on here and just write whatever they want and pay, and then I'd say it, and they don't because they're fucking A, they're cowards, B, they're fucking broke losers, dude. All of them. JC, thanks for the $5 super chat. He said, "I love you." I love you, JC. Truly, I do. Clint, what's going to happen with Alex, bro? What do you think? What do you think Alex Jones is going to do next?
I mean, I think Alex is never going to stop. I think he has committed himself to this path, and as he's said many times, like you'll have to kill him to shut him up. So I love the guy.
They're trying,
they are, and I root for him. Obviously, I believe he will appeal the $1 billion judgment against him for speech. I have blocked, longtime mutuals of mine. I have blocked anyone that I have seen lauding that decision, that it's a good thing for anyone for speech to have $1 billion judged against them. Like it's fucking insane.
And they're trying to go after more. They want $1 trillion is what they want.
They want
2.75 trillion.
Yeah. So
it's a middle finger.
Very bad people.
It's a fuck you.
Oh yeah.
It's a fuck you to free speech. It's a fuck you to anybody that thinks we should have individual freedom. It's not an amount that says we need to pay for this and this is how we make. It's something they pulled out of their ass. I don't know how you get that number.
The bigger picture on it is that Alex Jones is one of the few people that was completely deplatformed from everywhere, and he still managed to have a market and make money. And that, my dear friends, is why they're going after him. I strongly believe that like their cancel culture mechanism only works if you can actually bankrupt someone, if you can actually cancel them to the point that they become irrelevant. Alex did not become irrelevant after he was deplatformed from everywhere. And that's why they couldn't stop. They had to keep going, and they had to come after him in the hardest ways possible.
I think that was one of the most prolific
Terrible.
points you made the other night, actually, when we were on that show together. Was I didn't think about it that way. You brought it up that they canceled him, but they couldn't cancel him. And
Right.
and it was like legitimately they took him off everything.
Everything within like 48 hours, gone. Boom, 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 boom.
Right. And they couldn't kill him. They didn't kill him. And it's kind of like that, you know, what I said when I was running for chair or vice chair is like, when I was running against Nick Sarwark, if you're going to go for the king, you got to kill the king, dude, right? Like it's the only way. Otherwise you're dead. And they fucking tried their hardest to cancel him, and they couldn't. And it was a slap in the face to the government and the big tech companies and probably the World Economic Forum and whatever those weirdos do down at that fucking place in California. And fucking
they don't want to martyr Alex. They just want to make him irrelevant, and they can't.
They can't.
They can't do it.
Yeah.
It's the most important fight of our time is that true dissident thinkers and speakers find a way to survive and thrive outside of their mechanisms for control. And like Alex is the first guy to actually do it. Like he got through the shit fest and still was making, millions of dollars per year. Like that was so important. And that's why they have to now go after him from a different, angle.
Yeah.
It's sick. It's absolutely sick.
It's fucking, it's
despicable.
And it's the precedent setter. I mean, really,
It
at
is.
the end of the day, because if they can go after Alex Jones like that for $2.7 trillion, they can come after you for $1 million.
Everyone tweeted out after Alex was first deplatformed, first it was Alex Jones, and everyone's like, oh, this is ridiculous. Like how could you possibly compare that to what led to the Holocaust? But it's like, look, once there's a precedent set for unpersoning a human being, where like they cannot have, like, as we become more and more part of the electronic economy, like that is you, like that, like if you don't have access to all of the social media platforms, like that's your percentage of humanity, essentially. Like, do you have access to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, like list them all off? And it's like, okay, like if you really fuck up, like we'll take away your Facebook and Instagram. So now you're a 60% person. And like, if you really fuck up, we'll take all of it. And then if you're like Kanye, if you really, really fuck up, we'll take your Spotify and we'll take you off our Peloton playlist because we're fucking lunatics. And it's like, all of this shit is just evolving to the point where like they are trying to take it, like the cancellation process with Kanye, to a whole nother level. Like I've never even seen it. Never even seen anything like this. And he's the most successful black businessman in history. It's crazy to me that like the left, the progressives, the ones arguing on behalf of tolerance, and his intolerance is why the richest black man in history has to never have his music force fed into your ears again. These people are fucking psychotic, and I despise them. And I can't believe that there's anybody that's on their side at all, regardless of how you feel about what Kanye had to say. What is wrong with you that you would advocate for the unpersoning of a human being? Fucking idiots.
Yeah.
They make me sick.
Well, and the libertarians that are the quote unquote libertarians that are applauding this shit make me the sickest.
Yeah,
Like
they're the ones that fucking advocated on behalf of us staying home and masking up and vaccinating.
Exactly.
A bunch of fucking pussy idiots.
Yeah. They're cowards, pussies. I mean, there's so many words that I have for this.
I got one more question about Kanye, Clint. So you were talking about ESG, corporations, and people. Would you argue that Kanye is at once a person and he's also a corporation? So that's why he's being deplatformed in such a large way. Because I'm not defending it. I'm just saying he's more than just a person.
Yes. Well,
he's a company.
It's not even so much because his businesses are largely, privately owned. So like they don't have ESG enforcement mechanisms for private businesses to a large extent. They do a little bit, but not on a on a broader level. But the real issue is that his primary contracts were with like the Gap or Adidas or Spotify or like list them all off, right? He's got these huge contracts with or Nike or whoever the fuck they are. Like those companies are publicly traded, and those companies do have ESG scores, and those companies will listen to the cancel culture mob as it ramps up. So that's really the problem. Is like if you get to a certain level of success financially in the business world, even if you're a private business, if you're a private businessman, which is Kanye is one of the most successful ever of any color.
Yeah.
it's that's how they do it, man. So yes, that's what's happening. Is like this. It does tie into ESG. It absolutely does. And I think that's same with Alex Jones. Like all of this shit. Like I know I sound like Alex Jones when I talk about it. It's like it's all connected, but it is. It really is.
It absolutely is.
It is.
It's interdimensional child monsters.
Yes. Interdimensional, literal vampire.
Demons. They're the spawn of Satan. They came here through gateways created by the LSD of the 70s, created by the CIA. It's all connected, people. You just don't see it yet.
Exactly. Well, we're about an hour and 20 minutes, so we're gonna call this thing quits. Before we get too far into whatever other kind of crazy shit we have, if you guys want to come hang out with us in the members only stream for 10 to 15 to 20 minutes, feel free to sign up on the Patreon or the Subscribe Star or become a member of the YouTube channel. But Clint, if you have some knowledge to drop on my subscribers, what's the one thing that's so important to you that you would?
I mean, just do whatever you can in the midterms to get people that are not warmongers into power. You know, like I honestly, I would vote for a fucking communist if they're opposed to World War III at this point. Like I don't care. It's the most important thing of our lifetime. We have to have people in there that are truly anti-war. Like it very rapidly became like, if you had asked me a year ago, it would have been like, vote for anybody who's, you know, opposed to vaccine mandates and lockdowns and says that they'll never do that again. Now it's like, is this person somewhat rational when it comes to nuclear holocaust? Like that's kind of how I now view the political
Fetterman,
arena.
Dude. We need a write-in Fetterman for president campaign, dude.
Yeah, I have no idea what his position is on Ukraine, but I would imagine he's gung-ho about it.
I'm guessing he probably
he's not
know
for
what his own position is.
against.
Well, that's the problem. He's an empty vessel. We'll just
for
he's Joe Biden
against not it.
Ryan says he's for against not it. And also good night, everybody.
That's right. Hello, good night. And beyond that, you know, just enjoy life. You know, don't let all this bad news get you down, and use it as fuel to get after it. That's kind of how I try and funnel all of the negativity and the anxiety that comes with this shit, and I just try and really enjoy and, you know, be passionate about what I'm doing. So I hope people can do that. And then beyond that, if you guys want to check out my show, it's Liberty Lockdown. Go ahead and check out the episode tomorrow morning, 11:30 a.m. Eastern, with Dr. Joseph Ladapo, the Surgeon General of Florida. That'll be an absolutely fantastic conversation. And then the following week, I should have Laura Logan back on, which the first time I had her on was one of the greatest interviews I've ever had. So I hope you guys will enjoy that one. And then I'll be on, I forget the name of the show. I think it's Radical with Majid Nawaz in November.
Oh, no shit, dude. He's fucking awesome, dude.
Yeah. No, I'm super
I just
pumped.
realized who you're talking about. You said that earlier in the show, and I didn't put it together. That dude is fucking. He was like a fundamental Muslim.
Yes,
like Islamic, like fundamental Islamic Muslim, and he
was like
he reverse converted
terrorist. Yeah,
he reverse converted, and he came out hard against the COVID regime, dude.
Yep,
hard.
because he recognizes fundamental extremism. And he knows that's what we're up against. I think he's an incredible asset to have in our.
You're going on his
space.
show, huh?
Yeah,
dude, that's dope.
That's gonna be rad. When
so
is that? By the way,
so happy for you, buddy. You're
November
doing so much shit.
28th, I believe, or 29th. It's a month out.
I'll push that.
You're doing so much dope shit now, dude. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. I mean, I absolutely, I can't believe it. But at the same time, I'm just so grateful, and I'm so gratified to be living this life. You know, I feel like I'm in the place I'm supposed to be at the moment I'm supposed to be here. So, you know, I'm going to try and stay in that zone as long as possible.
For sure. Well, Clint, you know I'm a huge fan, and I value our friendship, and I love you to death, man. And thank you so much for coming on and hanging out with us. If you could just give us 5 minutes, close the show out, we'll do the members only stream for a couple minutes.
Of course, no problem.
Awesome, dude. Thank you so much, man. What a great fucking show. Hey, dude, Clint is amazing. Definitely go check out Liberty Lockdown, and just support the man, dude. Support everything he's doing, because he's such an important voice. He's amassed such a great following and platform, but he's really passionate about these things, and I don't think between him and I and Dave during the COVID regime lockdowns, I don't think anybody rallied harder than Clint did. I mean, he fucking really pushed a lot of people and talked to a lot of people and got a lot of people to hear this message and support it. And man, you gotta give thanks to the people that can do that. You know what I mean? That's the important thing for me. What's up, Acid Drop? Hey, dude, my homie who wrote and performs the the wood chipper song in the beginning of my show, and also the in Minecraft song at the
cool.
outro is in the chat. Everyone go give shout outs to my boy Alex there. He said just got out of the studio. Big ups to you and Clint. Love you guys 100%. $5 super chat. Thank you, sir. I'm glad that you just got out of the studio. I can't wait to hear what you come up with. I'm a big fan of his music. If you like, cool poster pop punk stuff, man, go check him out. Whiskey Grenade, I love them to death, dude. Ryan, before we go, you got anything?
Like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Help us grow on YouTube because we wanna catch back up to Clint. We want to surpass his following.
There was a time when I had way more subscribers than Clint did on YouTube. Fucking just zoomed right past me.
We need to catch up. So
AJ,
share this with your friends, your mom, everybody.
Go vote if you're in Iowa. November 8th. Early voting is open. What's that?
What's the amendment you're pushing?
Oh yes, the Freedom Amendment. It is public proposition number 1, amendment number 1. It's to keep and bear arms. Adds it to our Iowa Constitution with strict scrutiny in the legal language. It's the best thing for the individual. Go vote for it. We need 60% to pass.
Yeah,
60%.
It also nullifies any.
Yeah, flip your ballot over. It's on the back.
Yeah, it's on the back, and it also nullifies any further.
Would nullify any future federal gun control.
Yep.
Yeah,
beautiful. Iowa's dope, man. I love it here when it comes to self-defense and homeschooling and medical freedom. I mean, we really got it good here. You can't smoke weed, but oh well. I mean, you can't smoke weed. You can smoke weed, and people do. It's not California weed.
Civilly disobedient.
Not nearly as good. Guys, go check out our sponsor, of course, toplobster.com, the man, the myth, the legend, Mike. Excuse me. I ate a lot of spaghetti for the show. We always break bread here in the Break the Cycle studio. So Ryan comes over, AJ comes over. AJ fasts, so he doesn't ever eat dinner with us. But Ryan and his wife come and eat dinner every night. Every night we have a show. And if we have a guest in the studio, they eat dinner and they get to meet all the kids and the family and stuff. It's really cool. It's really cool breaking bread here at the Break the Cycle studio before a show. But sometimes it gives me a little indigestion. You know what I mean? And then I come and do the show and I'm like, hey, dude, I just ate 3 pounds of spaghetti. Go check out toplobster.com. He's the man. He's the entire aesthetic of the show. You can also get this fuck around and find out Statue of Liberty, Lady Liberty gun shirt that you see me wearing tonight by using BT checkout for a 10% discount. Or you can join the Patreon Subscribe Star or become a member of the YouTube channel by hitting the join link and get into a private Discord server where you can get all of Top Lobster's new gear up to 2 weeks before it goes to the general public at a 30% discount. So you'll be supporting 2 people and actually saving money if you're buying Top Lobster's new gear. Truthfully, that's the truth. You will be supporting 2 shows or 2 organizations, and Ryan, and we'll probably start paying AJ at some point for coming over on Mondays and Thursdays too.
Ooh.
But that's it's important to support the creators in this movement, and Top's one of the best. So go support that guy, please. He's amazing. I love him to death. And of course, executive producers of the show, anthemplanning.com, for all your emergency and crisis planning needs. Check them out today. See what they can do for your business, home, or personal life. They're doing a wonderful job that the government has historically sucked at, much cheaper and much more efficiently. They help organizations solve unsolvable problems in the technology and HR arenas. Their team leads by example. Anthem consultants have led their own organizations through demanding periods of change. Now they help clients succeed in the face of technology and personnel challenges. Plus, Amy Labor is amazing. If you own a business, I don't know how you've operated this long without getting help from Amy Lepore at Anthem Planning. I just don't. You should go check them out today. Executive producers, Colwell Creative Content. They specialize in things like SEO to help your site rank well on Google or other search engines. Website design, optimize website content writing, optimize blog posts, copywriting, social media content management, newsletter writing and design, ghostwriting and editing services, resume and cover letter writing. They work with all kinds of clients, including real estate, addiction treatment, mental health, healthcare, banking and payment processing, not the Federal Reserve and not the CIA podcast. And they've worked with just about every industry, including libertarian political candidates and influencers such as my good friend and political mentor, Larry Sharp. They're good enough for Larry Sharp. They're good enough for you, I promise you. They've been in business since 2012. They've worked with hundreds of clients, and I'm going to be using them. That's what I'm going to do. See if they can help me bolster the podcast. But you guys should be using them too. Have them help you get in front of your target audience. I promise you it's worth it, man. And of course, new executive producer of the show, the Blood of Tyrants, Merlot. Check them out today. You can go to bloodoftyrants.wine and buy those bottles of wines. I know they sell them. If you buy in bulk, you get a discount, but also if you use break when you check out, just the word break, you can get a 10% discount, which is great. It's already really moderately priced wine, but it's such a conversation starter to have a bottle of Merlot that says the Blood of Tyrants on the label. It's pretty dope. It's good wine too. I've had it. I got a bottle when I was at the National Convention, and it was fucking
They should
really
send
good.
us a bottle. We can taste test it live on the show, and then stick it in the background on one of the shelves there.
There's
Cool.
their wine analysis is 0.54% total acid, 3.77 pH, 4% residual sugars, and a 13.5 alcohol by volume. So that's really
Nice.
Yeah, that's actually really good, dude. They're the official spirit of 1776. Tyrants are losing their head over this wine. Tree of Liberty must be watered from time to time with the blood of tyrants. Check them out today. Use break at checkout. I love you guys to death. Thank you so much for supporting our show all the time and hanging out with us. Thank you to my co-host Ryan and my co-host AJ. Thank you to our guest Clint Russell. We'll have a show for you on Monday. Same bat time, same bat channel. I do not have the guests announced yet, but they will be announced soon. It's going to be a dope show, I promise you. Everyone will want to be there. And by the mid of this week, and I will have that show announced. So I will see you on Monday for that great show that you're not going to want to miss. But until then, don't forget to break the cycle.
Due to legal reasons, I just have to explain. The lyrics of my last song may seem to contain a violent call to action in the verse and refrain, but I just meant it in Minecraft. The helicopter part was in reference to GTA 5 and the things you do. So any violence you commit, I am not an excuse, because I just meant it in Minecraft. A chipper is my friend and he's constantly cold. Accusations of incitement getting totally old. Make your own choices, yeah, you have control, because I just meant it in Minecraft. Obviously I would never advocate force, unless there's due process and a trial, of course. And if you're convicted, we will make you a corpse in Minecraft, just in Minecraft. Nothing I mean, you know it. No product dinners, cause it closed for COVID. Holy shit, I think I'm a poet.